Hi, everyone. I'm John Lux. I'm the Executive Director of Film Florida. Welcome to Film Florida Friday. Film Florida Fridays are interactive conversations about current topics, initiatives, and relationship building in Florida's screen production industry. Today, we're talking about local incentives for our industry. The plan is for our panelists to share what's available in their region, how to apply, types of projects eligible, and more. In a moment, we're going to have each of them introduce themselves and I'll ask some questions. During that time, we're going to ask everybody to keep their microphones on mute to avoid background noise. After we've gotten through all of those questions, we will open it up to the audience for questions and conversation. At that time, please use the hand raising function under the React button so we can call on you. We're going to ask everybody to keep their questions and comments brief in the interest of time and out of the fairness of others that may want an opportunity. The other thing I wanted to mention off the top before anybody says it in the questions and comments section, let's be very clear. Nobody on today's panel will say that Florida does not need a statewide incentive program. We all are in favor of that. No one will argue that having these local incentives means we don't need a statewide program. We know we need a statewide program, but we don't have one. And in absent of that, the local incentives are the best options that we currently have. They're not perfect. In fact, most statewide programs are not perfect either, but the local programs have been a very positive element of our marketing and sales, and we hope they will continue and we hope they will increase. So with that, as always, Film Florida Fridays are free to attend, but we hope you'll consider donating $20.25 for our 2025 fundraising campaign. The donation link will be posted in the chat box, and you can always find that on the top of our website. If you're not a member of Film Florida, we hope you will consider joining at filmflorida.org. And with all of that out of the way, let's meet our panelists today. So Tyler, let's start with you.
Hey everybody, I'm Todd Martinolich, Film Commissioner for Hillsborough County, Film Tampa Bay. I've been with the Film Commission for 13 years, and our incentive started in 2015.
Perfect. Sandy, you're up next.
Hi there, Sandy Lighterman. I am the Broward County Film Commissioner, Greater Fort Lauderdale, as well as still President of Film Florida, proudly. I have been with the Broward County Film Commission since the beginning of 2022. We'll talk about our incentives a little bit later.
Todd?
Hi, good morning. Todd Roobin, Film Commissioner here in Jacksonville, Florida, past president of Film Florida and serve as co-legislative chair on Film Florida. Glad to be here and share with you our various incentive programs that we offer. I guess they'll be later on.
Yep. Quinn?
Hey everybody, I'm Quinn Chittenden. I'm the Film Commission Manager for St. Pete Clearwater, which represents all of Pinellas County in Florida. I've been with the Film Commission since about 2023, so look forward to the panel.
And let's see, I think we're up to Michelle.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Michelle Hillery here, Palm Beach County Film and Television Commission. It's nice to see some familiar faces here. I've been with the Film Commission since 1996. That's right, 1996. So I've been here a minute, but we represent 39 municipalities here in Palm Beach County and look forward to talking about what we have going on here as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's dive into kind of individual presentations / information. We're going to go from north to south. And so, Todd, we're going to start with you. And I am going to share my screen for those that can see. And because Todd sent us a little presentation that he's going to walk us through. So hopefully everybody sees that. And Todd, go ahead, take it away.
So there it is right there. So I guess since everybody else kind of shared how many years they've been with the film office, I guess I should share that I was like 2 years old, but I did start with the film office, believe it or not, 39 years ago, 1986. So Michelle, I don't even think you were born then. Anyway, the slide that's up there, as you'll see, for the Film and TV Incentive Program, we'll just go over the first bullet, the cash rebates for film and television productions. We have 2 tiers. And so the applicant must, for Tier 1, spend a minimum of $400,000 on Duval County qualified expenditures, and they would receive a 15% rebate. So once that production, let's say, were to exceed the $1 million spend, it balloons to a 20% rebate. And so that would entail, the maximum payout would be $400,000. So based on the Tier 2 program. So that's a just quick overview. And then you'll see to qualify, the productions would need to hire a minimum of 50% of the local cast and crew, or at least make a very concerted attempt to do so. We do have some leeway just with the applicant. If they've made a concerted effort and it's slightly under 50%, we have the ability to alter that particular requirement. And then, of course, we want to see that at least 60% of the production days are filmed here in Duval County. And that includes, of course, our beach communities, Atlantic Beach, Neptune Beach, Jacksonville Beach, and all of the city of Jacksonville, about 840 square miles. We're considered one of the Duval County's, Jacksonville, actually, is considered one of the largest city landmass in the country. And then at least 50% of the vendors must be from Duval County, at least making a strong attempt in hiring and renting equipment from Duval County vendors. So that's the film and television program. And then we'll go over to the commercial incentive program. So it's a 15% cash rebate. And I meant to mention before, the film and TV as a cash rebate as well. So for commercials, they would qualify to spend a minimum of $75,000 on qualified expenditures. And, that, of course, is your hiring local crew, purchasing goods and services related, of course, to the industry here throughout Duval County. And then, of course, film at least 70% of the production days of the commercial here in Duval County, and then employ at least 55% of the cast and crew from Duval County residents. And of course, 15% of the vendors must be here from Duval. And the maximum payout for that would be $150,000 for the commercial program. Okay. And then I'll wait and we'll talk, I guess, later about there it is. I can just give a quick overview on this. Fostering Filmmaker Grant Program. And this is a program that supports the independent filmmakers here that live here in Jacksonville. We offer grants of $10,000 to help fund new films that could, of course, reach festivals and theater releases or streaming. The filmmakers must show they have at least $10,000 that show evidence of that they have at least $10,000 in the bank. And then, of course, to qualify, we want to see at least 80% of their project being shot here, and 70% of the cast and crew lives here in Duval County, and then use at least 50% of local vendors to qualify, and then including 15% of small businesses. This $10,000 is paid out in two separate times. The first $5,000 payment is paid out at the end of physical production, and then the second $5,000 payout is after, I guess, the first pass of the edited production, prior to having any additional colorization, prior to having any other audio sweetening. But so it doesn't have to be the final edited version. But so that's that program. Okay.
All right. Excellent start. Tyler, let's go to you next.
All right. Good morning, everybody. So as I said, our incentive program has been around since 2015. It is a program that is funded through TDT or tourism development tax dollars. And because it's coming from tourism development tax dollars, we're focusing less on economic development and more on the tourism aspect of your project and what sort of marketing materials you can compile for us so we can find value in your project. It's a very simple program. It runs every year from our fiscal dates of October 1st through September 30th of every year. and it is a rebate. We pay 80% of your awarded value within 30 business days of the completion of principal photography, and the last 20% is paid upon a local premiere of some sort. It does not have to be the premiere, but it does have to premiere here locally at some point. And it is a very, very simple program. We offer between 10 and 20% with no minimum spend and a cap of $150,000. We have been able to get that up as high as $500,000 as far as the award, but that's a case-by-case basis. As I said, there's no minimum spend, so you can be a small little short film. It could be an experimental film. It could be a student film. It could be a major TV series. We take the project into account holistically. So we look at everything from how much you're spending here locally, how many days total you're spending, what sort of attachments you might have, how are you activating our local community? So are you actually featuring any of our downtown areas, amenities, hotels, attractions, whatever those might be? And then finally, we're asking, is it family friendly or not? Is it a good reflection of Tampa Bay? So based off of that, we have sort of our internal calculus. We take all those things I just mentioned into account, and we come up with an assessed marketing value. And based on that value score, we offer between 10 and 20% depending on the project. It is as easy as that. Again, it is from the 1st of October through September 30th of each fiscal year. There is an application process. We allow productions to begin applying as soon as the August before the fiscal date for the year, so you can get queued up, and it is a first come first serve basis. So if your project happens to not make the original cut because there's too many projects in line, if there is any projects that drop out during that fiscal year, that money is freed up and then we'll go to the next person in the queue. So it's as easy as that. It takes about 5 minutes to fill out our application. It does have to go in front of the BOCC, Board of County Commissioners, for final approval, but it's on a consent agenda. That's a lot of babble to say that we have to have a stamp put on it, but that's usually done within 30 days of you applying for the project, assuming it's within those fiscal year dates. And once you have that money set aside, it is an escrow account for 2 years. You have up to 2 years to complete your project from the time the application is submitted. And that is my entire program in a nutshell.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Tyler. Let's see. So Quinn, you are up next.
Yeah, thanks, John. And so for our program, so it works somewhat similarly to Film Tampa Bay's program. Our department is located within Visit St. Pete Clearwater. And so our program is also funded through the tourism development tax. And so our main initiative and our mission is driving tourism to the destination and working with productions as sort of a partnership and being able to deliver more marketing value to the area. And so we're eligible for a variety of different project types. It's not just feature films, it's feature films, television series. It could be scripted or unscripted, music videos, digital media, projects with significant distribution. But really our focus is on how we are being featured within the project. So embellishing location highlights, using the name of different cities and different attractions throughout the project, using beauty shots, and then some of the more ancillary kind of marketing aspects to the project as well. So partnering when it comes to press junkets, when it comes to special screening events, any social media campaigns that you're running during the production of the project. Those are all things that can be a part of the application process and a part of us determining the 10 to 20% cash rebate. So the application process is all online. You'll basically upload some documents through a Jot form account. It comes through to us. And then we have a committee review process where we'll determine that 10 to 20% cash rebate, and then basically give you a response usually within 30 business days on whether you qualify for the program. There is a $100,000 minimum spend requirement within Pinellas County, but because it is a marketing-based program, it is more about the marketing value than it is, the local spend base. So basically, that's the process, and it's fairly simple. Once you visit our website, we have all information on application steps, full program overview, expenditure reports, so that you know what qualifies and what doesn't qualify. So all that information is posted on our website, and it's fairly easy to access.
Cool. Michelle, I'm going to actually flip-flop you and Sandy because your program is a little bit different. So I want to kind of group yours separately. So Sandy, let's jump over to you, and I'm going to share my screen again, and then you can talk us through your slide.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. So as John's bringing that up, just a couple of things to say that, everybody's talking about their area. We're Broward encompasses 1,200 square miles, and we have 31 municipalities where we permit 28 of those municipalities. So it makes us, incredibly friendly as a one-stop shop. Ours is a cash rebate program. This program has been in place, well, not all of the programs, but we started our programs in place in 2022. So when I came here from Miami-Dade County, and so far through all of our programs, over 40 projects have come through, have gone under contract. Some of them various stages of getting their rebate, but a lot have received their rebates. So our programs, I'll start for the smallest to going up to the more robust ones. We have for television commercials, we have a program that is it's a 15% rebate. All of ours are cash rebate. 15% rebate is 400,000 minimum spend. So we have a higher threshold than most of the others when it comes to commercials. But it is in that particular that particular program is capped at $175,000 in a rebate back. And I'll come to the caveats in the end because most of them are the same, just a couple are different. And then we have what we call the partial projects program. Partial projects program are for projects that are just pieces of a project, but it has to be high profile. So that one you would have to highlight probably Broward County in some way or have a star attached to it, because we're only incentivizing on a small part, and I'll get to that in the end. But that's a 1.5 million minimum spend in the area with a 5-day minimum days of shooting in our area, 20% rebate up to $500,000 back. And then the most popular program we have is our film and television program. And that program is a 400,000 minimum spend with 20% back. And that one's capped at $800,000. Then we move up to our high impact film and television program, which is a 5 million minimum spend. And all of these minimum spends are spending in Broward, by the way. 20% back, capped at $2 million a project. And then we have the multiple project guarantee program. That's where you guarantee 2 projects within a 3-year period that are 4 million minimum spend each project. That has the largest rebate back. That's 30% rebate back up to $2.5 million each project. And by the way, all of these are for scripted programming. So we don't do unscripted in Broward. And then the highest level is for scripted series that came into being this past year. That is a 12 million minimum spend in Broward, 25% rebate, capped at $5 million a project. We also have an emerging filmmakers grant, which we'll talk about a little bit later. On all of the projects except for one of them, the caveats are the same, and that is 55% of the cast and main crew and cast need to be from the Tri-County area. So that's Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach. Of that 55%, 30%, we've just raised it another percentage, 30% of that 55 need to be Broward-based residents. 50% of the vendors need to be Broward-based vendors, and that's anything from the gas station to the camera house. And then 60% of your production days need to be in Broward County. The only difference is for that partial projects program. They bring in a piece and they are, highlighting and have a star or whatever. That is only 20% of the crew need to be Broward-based residents, and that is the only requirement. So that one's pretty special. On our approval process, everything's online. But the more high impact programs, so the the scripted series program, the high impact television program, and the partial project program, those actually go through a committee between myself, my boss, and the county administrator to make a decision whether they'll move forward, based on multitude of criteria. And the other ones we are able to approve ourselves through, I'm the final approval on here in the office. So I think that's it for me, for us.
Perfect.
May we take your order, as we say.
Perfect. Yes. And Brooke, I noticed you are doing a wonderful job in the chat box of including the links to all these different programs. So thank you very much. And now, Michelle, let's go to you to wrap this part up. And your program is a little bit different. So explain the differences, and then we'll walk through your slides.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, John. So yeah, our program is very different. We too are funded through tourism bed tax dollars. So our program is about marketing, promoting Palm Beach County as a destination for tourism and travel. And we are squarely in the TV space. So what we're looking for is programming that highlights tourism here in Palm Beach County, really doing a deep dive into the various things that one can do, see, experience here in Palm Beach County. So we are basically sponsoring tourism branded content that does this. The key to our program is the distribution piece of it. So we are sponsoring half-hour tourism branded shows that have distribution in the marketplace. So in other words, you have to secure, whether it's on Destination America, Travel Channel, PBS, wherever it may be, your shows have to prove distribution. Now, we started this program about 8 years ago. And this is just a couple of slides of some of the programs that we are currently supporting in this fiscal year. And we started this because the state of Florida didn't have any type of incentive program, and we really wanted to work with our local production companies, but it's not completely only available to Palm Beach County production companies. So we have sponsored programming from companies throughout the state of Florida, really. And so this is a sampling of some of the shows that we currently have in our marketing plan for this coming year. We are a sponsor of this content. We do not own their content, so they can secure distribution wherever they want, etc. But once these shows air on, and you can see the various platforms in which these shows in front of you where they're airing, once it airs, we've been able to launch Palm Beach County's official tourism TV channel. So we are now, not only are we your typical film commission that markets and promotes our destinations for film and TV production, but now our film commission has expanded our portfolio where we are basically also running a network, which is the Palm Beaches.tv. It's a streaming platform. Right now we have over 140 hours of original tourism branded content. He's scrolling through again some of the shows that are currently airing or coming soon onto the channel. This channel is programmed by by Olympusat, which is a global distribution company. It's also streaming in over 4,000 hotel rooms here in Palm Beach County. It was really modeled on Disney when we created this program. When you walk into a Disney property, the TV is on, and everything on that television is everything you can see and do it and experience in Disney. We wanted that same type of channel for Palm Beach County. And from that, we've launched new stars, and now many of these shows are Telly award-winning shows. We're actually going to be celebrating next week. We won 11 Tellys for these award-winning shows that are currently on the channel. Again, these are some of the hotels in which the Palm Beaches TV is streaming, and then some of the distribution networks in which these are the distribution networks in which the production companies are securing their own distribution. So we have sponsored anywhere from a one-off show that is hoping to go national perhaps, or up to 6 episodes, 6 half-hour episodes. The logistics of applying for the program is on our website. We kind of, in this office, will meet. If you've got a show idea, we'll come in, we'll meet, we'll kind of throw things around. Do we already have something like that? And that's really our one of our challenges right now is what don't we have, from, you know, a birding show to a culinary show to a variety show that hits all of those points. To we've got Wild Palm Beaches, which really shows the wilder side of Palm Beach County, if you can believe there is one actually. And then we kind of we kind of mature that into an application. That application, we get a sizzle reel is put together. We go before a committee that is formed by our board of directors that reviews the application, the impact that it's going to have, the distribution, etc., and determine the funding from that committee. We typically have 2 committee meetings, which take place in the summer, and then that will set us up for our new fiscal year, which begins October 1.
Excellent. Very good summary of everything. Okay, so moving along. So for our panelists, I'm not going to necessarily ask all of you all of these questions. So if I ask somebody and you want to jump in, feel free. That's totally great. Sandy, let's start with you. Like you mentioned in your program some of the minimum requirements for hiring locals. Talk a little bit about the importance of that and how you guys came up with some of your numbers.
Well, I'll say how we came up with some of our numbers is knowing kind of what our crew base is and what we don't have, right? That's really important. And that's why we actually started, I think, at 27%. And Christy's on here. I think we started at 27% or 28%, 3.5 years ago. And we've moved it up because as our crew base has actually grown, we've been able to, my bosses go, well, are we growing our crew base? And we are. More people are coming here. They seem to be moving to our area. In fact, with our numbers, we increased our crew numbers by 40% this past fiscal. So we kind of keep inching it up because our goal is to have 55% actually come from Broward County, right? That's our goal. So, but knowing what our limitations are and knowing that, our crew currently, are spread out in 3 counties. I think it'll never get to 55%, but at least we'll keep inching it up until we find that threshold as we get more crew coming in. What was the other part of the question, since I got so far into that one? How I came up
to
the
how you came up with it and like the importance of it.
Well, the importance of it, obviously, because we are economic development. So we are, everybody else talks about, most of them, we said, think for Jacksonville, right? They talk about tourism. We're in the Office of Economic and Small Business Development. In fact, when I was in Miami-Dade, also, we were in economic development. So the importance for us is to hire our locals, to hire our local businesses. We also have something that I actually didn't mention in there that's just besides crew, is that we also require 15% or best efforts, which we work on with you to hire of our certified small business directory, right? Because we're trying to, get the influx of money to come into Broward County. That's the whole importance of it. That's why, we developed the 60% production days. That's because then that's a majority of it shooting in our area. That means the majority of the money is going to be deposited in our area, and most likely, right? So this is all about us being able to grow our area economically. And, as we know that this industry dumps a lot of money pretty quickly into an area. And so that's what we're all about.
Excellent. Tyler, I want to go over to you now a little bit on the flip side. Michelle did a really great job of explaining that their funding comes from the tourism side of things, as does Quinn, and yours as well. I think talk a little bit about the differences in philosophy between the pure economic development side that, say, Sandy and Todd look at versus the tourism side that yours is a little bit more focused on, as well as Quinn and Michelle's as well. Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So not only is our incentive program funded by bed tax dollars, our entire office is, and that can sometimes be at odds with wanting to get as many local hires as possible on a shoot, which we've found a sweet spot to help balance that by having this internal scoring that takes into account local spend. So as much as we want productions to put people up into hotels, heads and beds are very important to bed tax dollars and tourism as a whole. But the largest expense on any film shoot is going to be payroll. So if people are really serious about maximizing their incentive potential, not only with us, but also with Quinn, it's very important to hire as many locals as possible. So that's sort of how we dance that fine line. But as far as the money that's coming into us, bed tax dollars are prescribed specifically for helping to market the region in which those taxes are collected. That's point of sale taxes. Anytime someone comes into Hillsborough County or in Pinellas County on Quinn's side, and stays in a hotel room, there is going to be a tax when you check out on your folio that says something kind of variance of like a resort fee or a local tourism collection dollars, something like that on the receipt. That money is set aside for the use of the visitor bureau, for the local attractions, everyone within the county that has some sort of tourism element to help market themselves. So it's very important when we're looking at projects holistically. Is this good for tourism for Hillsborough County? That does not mean we're looking to only have family-friendly content. We've had everything from horror films to drama, suspense films, everything in between shoot here. But it comes down to, is Hillsborough County being represented in a positive manner that's going to actually influence someone to come here to Tampa Bay, to stay in a hotel or potentially vacation, or to bring a convention here, perhaps. And that doesn't necessarily have to do with the script. It depends on how it's being portrayed on screen. So if you're showing the least desirable areas of Hillsborough County, it's probably not a good fit for our program. But if you are having a horror movie that's taking place and you're still getting those spectacular skylines and showing off our beautiful river walk and our waterfront along the Hillsborough River, that's important to us. So it's not we're trying to gatekeep projects. We're just trying to make sure the money's being used in a way that is still representative of why the money was collected in the first place, which is, again, to help bring more tourism to the area. Does that answer your question, John?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And Quinn, talk a little bit, Tyler mentioned it, and it's actually, a little bit funny. Talk about that fine line of, he's mentioned a horror film could
Right.
be approved when you wouldn't necessarily think of that as, family friendly, tourism related. Talk a little bit about that kind of balancing act that you guys go through.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like Tyler said, our main focus is on attractions and things that people can do while they're visiting the destination. So, when it comes to projects, things that if it's a family drama and it all takes place in one house, it's hard to qualify those types of projects if it's not, actually covering different aspects of the city, different aspects of places that attractions for people. And so really for us, it's more about how you can create a cultural impact locally and really cover different aspects of whether it's downtown St. Petersburg or St. Pete Beach or Pier 60 up in Clearwater Beach, but really to use those attractions as a part of the project to help us promote the area. So really, when it comes down to the types of projects that we're looking for, it's all about destination exposure for us.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about commercial production, and Sandy and Todd, you guys each have a specific call out in your programs for commercials. Todd, talk about how important that was for you from the commercial aspect of production in Jacksonville.
Well, I would say I can speak for Jacksonville. If we break down the number of projects that we assist with permitting per year, predominantly it is commercial production activity. And so not all commercials are going to meet the minimum threshold of a $75,000 qualified spend, but there are several that do that would meet that. And then we also we want to make sure that there's a form on the document document basically that if it wasn't for the incentive program, then they would likely be considering filming in another location. So So in other words, if there's an existing Jacksonville business that we know they're going to do a commercial there regardless, like the electric authority, and there's no other city that they're going to film this commercial, that they wouldn't qualify. But no, it's been a wonderful tool in our toolbox to attract sizable productions to film in Jacksonville and to put the crew here locally to work. It's proven to be extraordinarily successful, and along with, of course, the area vendors as well are enjoying the program. So, but mostly I would say the crew. So it's no question about it, been extraordinarily helpful.
Yeah, Sandy, how about you on the commercial side?
Very similar to what Todd said. I think I can speak for the entire state, right? That is our bread and butter is the commercial industry. Yeah, I mean, commercials are near and dear to my heart. I had my own production commercial, company for a long time. So I think that we have a higher threshold than does in Jacksonville, and I think Tyler, I think you incentivize commercials too as well. I think if I'm right.
Yeah, we have in the past. It's just whether or not they have enough lead time to actually go through the process.
Of course, yeah. I know ours. You can apply up until the day before you shoot, so that kind of helps with it. But ours we attract the larger the larger commercials, right? Those $500,000 to $1 million commercials are the ones that look to our incentive program.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about success stories. And Michelle, I mean, you kind of jumped the gun on the success stories, talking a little bit about some of the awards, but talk about how you measure success for your program, because I think each one of our panelists probably measure things a little bit differently. So talk a little bit about what is a successful project for you guys?
Yeah, well, that's a really good question, because I mean, the success is 3 years of back-to-back record-breaking, not just production numbers, but also tourism numbers. I mean, when our Discover the Palm Beaches, they're reporting close to 10 million visitors here last year, and that's a big number for us, and that's a contribution from all of the agencies. Film, sports, culture, and our Discover the Palm Beaches, who is our chief marketing office for both business and leisure travel. But certainly, the success stories are behind the small businesses that are that come to us and are just so appreciative of the marketing that they're receiving as a result of the exposure that they're getting from these from the shows, from the original airing of the show, and then certainly on the Palm Beaches TV. We actually, even from the Palm Beaches TV channel, we repurpose that programming as well. We have a daily show with WFLX Fox 29, and we help curate content for that show that airs 5 days a week, twice a day. And so they're getting the exposure from the original, from PBTV, from that daily show. And then we have our own YouTube channel called the Palm Beaches TV Now, hosted by ESPN host Theo Dorsey. And those are 10-minute segments that, again, we curate this content from. Also from the show hosts and production companies, we talked about, and a lot of us, are very much vested in keeping production first and foremost here in the state of Florida. And we collectively, all of us film commissions, work together. If I, get an inquiry and it happens to be about an incentive a feature film, and it's a $300,000 project, I'm going to send them to my counterparts and say, Palm Beach doesn't have that kind of incentive, but how can we keep it in Florida? And this is where you need to go and check out the incentives here. So collectively, we will all work together for that. And then individually, as our own film offices, of course, we have wanting to keep business local, to our local and within our local counties. And so to see some of these production companies that came in with a concept, or a new someone who's had a YouTube channel and wants to take that, her talents or his talents, and turn it into an actual show, we work with our local talented production companies to make that happen. And so to see their success, and now even some of these companies have 2 shows that they're now producing. Brand new show, Taste the Palm Beaches, is coming out. Popstar Productions, Kitty London, who, she came in for a interview for a job, and showed me her YouTube channel and how talented she was. And I'm like, Kitty, you need a show. And so from that transpired into What's Poppin' PBC, which is one of our most fantastic show that we have in the lineup. So authentic and so great, and she's so proud of it. So that's how I would say we benchmark success here in Palm Beach County with the program that we are currently managing.
Yeah, great. Yeah, great point. And you brought up something. I mean, we have 5 panelists today representing film commissions that have actual physical financial incentives. But I wish we could have all 25 Film Florida members that are representing film commissions, because they all have their own things that they offer, whether it's specific permitting support, whether it's discounts on hotels or parking, or all these things that everybody tries to do to make their areas so film friendly. So, to our audience, please don't think these are the only 5 that are doing extra for the industry. All of them are doing it. It's just whether or not they can get a financial program put together. Sandy, I wanted to go over to you, just talk a little bit about measuring success and success stories that you all have had in Broward County.
Well, the success I find is that having our locals hired, right? That is, like, to me, that's the biggest success, is people getting hired, businesses getting an influx of money, and also, nurturing whatever locals that we have. So it's that, but it's also having productions, when I go on my tours of, when I'm meeting, the studio executives, and those people are saying to us, we had a great experience here, and I know this not just about my office, but I know about every one of the other offices on here, that we all hold everybody's hand throughout production. We are a back office for production. And, I think that that's really important. I think that sets us apart from a lot of other states when it comes to all of us and how we work with our productions, and we're there really to really help everybody. So I feel that, the success, when people say to me, we had such a great experience, that to me is success. I mean, our success shows in our numbers of how many people, how many projects have come through our program, but the bigger success is the people that are getting hired within the state and locally, of course.
Tyler, talk about the success from your perspective.
Sure. We've incentivized projects anywhere from, $30-40 million projects to $5,000 projects. And as Sandy said earlier, our bread and butter as a state has always been commercials, but commercials have a very narrow season in which all of our local crews are working, but then it comes to those months where we're not having that influx of commercials, like the summer months. And that's where we've seen the most success with our program, is finding those 2 million and below projects to really stack up our summer months when our local crews aren't working. And as important as it is to us to fill heads in beds, because that's where the money is, again, to maximize your incentive, you really have to hire as many local crews as possible. So we really try to target projects that are shooting in those down months to make sure our crews are consistently working. In the last 3-4 years, we've managed to have between 6 and 10 features shoot over the course of every summer, which is employing a ton of our locals and making sure they're able to pay their bills. And that's super important for us, both on the the personal level, but also as a film commission. Like, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to service our locals as much as possible. But and another thing that people don't necessarily see if they're living here is how the tourism aspect is actually bringing in more tourists, other than maybe sitting in traffic more. But if I can point up here, we had, I can't see it because of the light, but we had Secrets of the Zoo, which is one of our biggest success stories. It was on Disney Plus and at Geo Wild. It shot 4 seasons at our local zoo. And over the course of those 4 seasons, because of Secrets of the Zoo, we did a study on this, 20% more people came to the zoo year after year. And that actually resulted in an entirely new park being added on to the zoo itself. That was a huge influx of money. And even though the series had sort of a shadow season drop a couple months ago, but they're not in production anymore, we are still seeing an entire portion of the zoo itself dedicated to Secrets of the Zoo, and it's bringing in new tourists, new people every single day. And that's just one of many examples. We've had over 50 projects incentivized since 2015. And I think all of them has done something to help bring more tourism and more jobs to the area.
Quinn, talk about St. Pete Clearwater areas found a little niche of doing, we'll call them Hallmark style type movie of the week type things. Talk about, those type of projects for your area.
Yeah. So the Hallmark Channel, I think people don't even really realize, how highly rated that network is, but it is the #1 entertainment cable network on television. And so when we get these projects to come here and film in our area, and to use our locations, and to embellish the different attractions within the stories, it does create a significant impact. We had a film called Love in the Sun that filmed a while back, and basically after that film had aired, we had visitors come in and go to the Chamber of Commerce and literally say, I saw you guys on the Hallmark Channel, and that's what helped me, decide to come here to Safety Harbor. And so, those types of films that come here, there's a real opportunity to just, work with the production company and to make it really help our destination shine. And so those projects, I think, are one example. But, for our incentive program, we really offer it to a diversity of different project types. So, it's not just about Hallmark movies. It's not just about sort of, making it lighthearted in terms of how our destination is portrayed. But, we also had a film called Mermaid, which is coming out into theaters early next year. It was an independent film that shot here back in 2023. And then we also had season 5 of Rock the Block, which filmed here in Treasure Island. And so, there's a diversity of different project types that can qualify for our program. And for us, the success of the program isn't just on a tourism marketing aspect of it, but also on a more B2B side, and getting the word out there that this is a viable market for film and television production. And so having this incentive program and having these tentpole series and independent films and Hallmark Channel movies, shoot in the area sends a message to the industry that, we're open for business and that this is a viable place that you can make your project. And so it starts those conversations, outside of just the incentives as well. And so we do judge it based on, the amount of exposure that we get from the project, but then also, on a more B2B level, just letting people know that we're open here.
Yeah, I mean, an incentive program is much more of a marketing tool than it is necessarily a financial tool. I've always said that. And now, Sandy and Todd, I want to go to you guys to touch a little bit on your emerging filmmaker programs, because there's a lot of people that are watching today that are going to say to themselves, well, I'm never going to have $1 million budget or higher than that, or even close to that. So talk a little bit about why, Sandy, you start, why you guys came up with the Emerging Filmmaker Grant, and talk a little bit more about what it is and why it's important for your area.
Well, it's really important to nurture our local content creators, right? So that's why I created. We were the first to, I believe, have the Emerging Filmmakers grant program in the state, in Broward County. So it's something that people have asked for a long time. There have been other sort of programs that, obviously Film Florida has one as well, the Emerging Film, as a film commission, I should say, right? That has an Emerging Filmmakers Fund. But it's very hard to get your films off the ground, especially if you're doing a short film or you're, trying to cobble money together. It's tough. So that was the call from our locals, and that's what I wanted to answer that call, and was, our administration said yes. And ours is we actually pay $2,500 up front. So after you apply and you get approved and you go through the caveats of the approval, we pay $2,500 after the approval of the incentive form, right? Our application. And then there's a contract that goes with it, of course, that you have to meet all of these criteria, and you get paid out in 4 sections. So it's $2,500 per section. So up front you get $2,500. So the most the county's going to be out is $2,500. But trust me, that filmmaker, everybody will know who that filmmaker is if that person, takes off with $2,500 and doesn't complete the cycle. So I say that, affectionately, but also truly. So the each section, so after you finish shooting, you get another $2,500. You have to meet caveats for that. The next $2,500 you get is when you give us all of your paperwork that shows all your spend and your hires and all of that. And then the last is your completed project that shows that we have filmed in Broward County in the credits. And it, I don't, Christy who's probably on here, but, monitoring, but I don't know exactly how many, but we've had at least 20 go through our program, I'm going to say, that have applied through our program. And most of those filmmakers are getting their films then out into film festivals. That also becomes a calling card, not for our area and for our state, because, when it wins a film festival, it's only better for everybody in the state. It just puts more of a highlight on all of us. We do have a little, strict caveats when it comes to the qualifications of that. And I say this affectionately, this is not for students that are graduating that don't have any kind of, that have no background in this. So you have to have some kind of background. It's the producer, writer, director, or cinematographer they have to be a Broward resident. Who is applying has to be a Broward resident, and they have to have had some kind of success, and that success can come in the form of having been accepted into a film festival, and we give the whole list of film festivals that are accepted. It is having something that had distribution on whatever channel that might be. It could be PBS, it could be something else. So there has to be some modicum, some professionalism that comes with the money that goes behind it. So, but you can, if you have a project and you are a writer and you are not from Broward County, and I say this, but you partner with a cinematographer or you partner with a producer who is Broward County, who applies for it, then you can, you work together. Then that's how we kind of grow our people actually sometimes wanting to come and live, in our area, just because of that kind of support that we have, because we have a very thriving content creating community in South Florida. Oh, you're on mute, John.
See, I'm following my own rules. Todd, talk about your Emerging Filmmakers Program, how it came to be and the success that you've seen from it.
Well, the way it came to be, and I'm going to tip my hat to Sandy, and she's been incredibly generous in sharing her program and the details behind it. And I want to, tip my hat to, like, I don't know, with Quinn or others around in Tyler, we do have this very close network of bond friendship amongst film commissions. While many out there think we're very competitive, but like we do share each other's programs. We're very transparent. What's good for other film offices, will transpire good for Florida. So that being said, Sandy was incredibly generous in sharing her program with us, and we kind of tailored ours somewhat, after Broward somewhat, but we kind of we definitely have the $10,000. It's a maximum of $10,000, and as I mentioned earlier, the first installment of the $5,000 is upon the completion of the program, and basically the applicant would provide, their expenditures, and what they, so that's kind of an example of what the larger program would do. You have to provide the, proof of purchases of the hiring of the local crew and so on and so forth, renting of equipment, this, that, and the other. But it's not a percentage. It's a $5,000 flat out grant after the completion of the production. The second $5,000 check is the completion of the editorial cut. And some of the requirements that's on the application, I know that Brooke posted our filmjacks.com website. That, of course, you just click the incentive tab, and then our various programs are listed there. But, we're going to ask that that of course the project to be eligible, we want it to be at least a 70-minute narrative, script and story. They must provide a log line, a short synopsis, half a page would be fine. We'd like to have, of course, the completed script for the narrative film. And then a summary of the project for, documentaries for the project. So the genre, all genres are eligible. Residency, they must show that they're a resident of Duval County for at least 6 months prior to the submission. And then to show evidence that they would have a minimum investment of $10,000 of evidence of that in their bank. And then, of course, the use of funds, specific details of how the funds will add value to their production. We want to know how this grant will help, and that's important in their application. And we do have a review committee that does review the applications of professionals in the community. And we just want to have a copy of the production schedule and basically a work sample and resume. And those are pretty much the main, parts of the application, of course. And then I shared with you earlier, of course, the 80% of production days must be and shot in Duval County, 70% of the cast and crew, Duval County residents, and 50% of vendors would be Duval County. And that's pretty much it for the phosphate.
Todd, quick follow-up from the chat box. Did you say 7 minutes or 70 minutes for this program?
70.
70. Okay, so it's meant for features, not shorts.
Correct.
Good. Okay, Gustavo also in the box.
Oh, I'm just going to clarify. Mine is for shorts and or feature length, right?
Perfect. Thank you
I
for
guess
clarifying.
we're going to have to adopt ours.
So, Gustavo, your question, anything happened in Miami Beach and Miami-Dade County? They recently had programs, but they have not been renewed. The one in Miami-Dade County has been in the news quite a bit because of some of the financial challenges the county is having. And so that one is not active right now, but fingers crossed that we can make some progress and get that back on board. The other, Samantha, you asked a question, would you consider the film industry to be pay to play like the sports industry, where our DMO needs a grant program to attract, compete for film business? No, not necessarily. I mean, this isn't a pay to play thing. It's a businesses of any kind will always go where they get the best financial support. That is not, just our industry. You look at industry in general. If a business believes they're going to get the best bang for their buck somewhere, they're going to look at that. And if it's a financial incentive for film and television production, that certainly adds to the benefits of the support that they get. But it certainly isn't the only way. I mean, we've talked about it. We would love to have a statewide incentive. We're very happy to have these local incentives, but areas that don't have local incentives still have a lot of production too. It helps if you have this as a marketing tool in your toolbox. We're going to go to some questions, but before we do that, I'm actually going to bring Brooke down from the Orlando Film Commission. For those of you who aren't following, Orange County is close, we believe, to passing an ordinance that would start a film commission. And to Todd's point, I have been working on the work group for the last 2.5 years that has been involved in this. And to Todd's point, every single film commission that is on this today had a hand in helping Orange County get to where it is, whether it's speaking at a meeting, sending information, answering questions. And so it really is a testament to what Todd is saying of the collaborative work to get Orange County close to hopefully getting a program. And the final vote is, I believe, on Tuesday, November 18th. So fingers crossed. But hypothetically speaking, Brooke, if that bill or if that ordinance does pass, tell us a little bit about what would be in the Orange County program as it sits right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You took my beginning away as Todd was nodding and tipping hats to I was gonna be like, I tip my hat to everyone here. But I reiterate that. So there would be two. One would be for television commercials, and the other one would be for TV and feature film production. So with the television commercial, it would be the the same as, you know, Tyler and Quinn, where it's being funded by the TDT. So it would be tourism focused and promoting the Orange County. So it would be a $250,000 minimum spend for these commercials at a 10% rebate up to a $50,000 cap. There are a few other things that it would need to fit, but I'll kind of stay high level as we don't have it fully realized. I mean, it is fully realized, but not approved or anything just yet. It will be up for it on the 18th, like John said, at the end of the day. So if anyone's texting me, asking me, what's the news at 9 a.m., I have nothing for you yet. For the film and television production incentive, it will also be promoting Orange County, and it would be a $400,000 minimum spend, 20% rebate up to $1 million cap. Yes. So there are also a couple of other things that we put in there, like having students be part of the production and different things touching on different elements of our industry here in Central Florida. So if you have any questions, let me know, but I don't have all of those answers yet. Again, November 18th.
Yeah. And the funding for the Orange County one follows similar to Tyler's and Quinn's programs that are a little bit more traditional incentives funded by TDT. Michelle also funded by TDT for her sponsorship program. Michelle, I'm going to actually ask you a question from the chat box. It says, what is the level of sponsorship with Palm Beach County? Talk a little bit about the financial commitment you guys make to each program.
Yeah, sure. So typically for a new series or that's not already airing or already established, we're looking at $10,000 an episode. But if there is a show that, you know, is already, like we do Burt Wolf Travels and Traditions, which has been on air, and he's like the #1 rated travel show. You know, then you're talking a different price point. But typically we start out at $10,000 an episode. We'll sign MOUs, contracts for $60,000 for 6 episodes. But of course that can go up over time with some shows that we've had working here for a couple of years already. So I wanted to show this visual because I think this gives a real good idea of, you know, there's 26 shows right now that we have either sponsored or coming in this year sponsoring. So we're working with a variety of production companies. And I also wanted to mention, because it hasn't been mentioned yet, that the state of Florida does have the sales tax exemption program. So, you know, so that's up to 7.5%. You can get qualified by going to the Florida Commerce and Brooke, I don't know if you want to put the link to that also. That might be a helpful thing to do. If your production company does not have a certificate for this point of sale, sales tax exemption, you should definitely apply to do that. John, you're on mute.
It was on my notes to add that as we were talking, to add the sales tax exemption, but Brooke, are you able to find that link and put that in there? Okay. Do we have any questions from our audience? Wanted to give everybody an opportunity to ask any questions. Brooke has done a wonderful job of getting things in the chat box. So if you have any follow-up questions, by all means, check out those links. When we wrap up here, I will keep the Zoom on. So if anybody needs to go through that chat box to get any of those links, feel free. For those that will be hopefully watching this when it gets up on our social media or our YouTube channel, I will put those links in the description of the episode so you can get those as well. Okay, Gustavo, you have a question. So go ahead and unmute yourself and go ahead and ask your question.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. How are you? I'm really excited. It's my first time joining you guys in this panel. And so I'm a new filmmaker, and I'm very creative. I already sent my film and film festivals. I won a couple, and it's being featured. And it's very frustrating because I did it all with my money. I had no idea how this helped. But I'm not looking yet to get like 100,000 or anything like that. We don't mind starting small, but we need some help. So which are your advices for people like myself that we're starting and we want to do quality things, but we need just that little maybe to hire for sound, that's like the worst thing that happens in your productions. Like if you need to pay for something, it should be the sound, in my experience. So stuff like that, like how come, because usually, the counties, they focus on, I heard a couple of counties are helping in lower end degrees, but usually it's like big productions. And I would love to get there one day, but how do we help people like myself that were starting?
Gustavo, what
Sandy,
area?
you want that one?
Oh, you asking me?
Sandy,
Or
you
no?
go. I was going to say you want to answer that one. Go ahead.
And by the way, I'm a Miami-Dade resident. I live in South Beach, Miami Beach.
Okay, so you live in
Yes.
Miami Beach. Got it.
I know that.
So, so my question is, what are the budget are you looking for, right? Are you are you emerging filmmaker? Can you partner with somebody so then you can maybe possibly, qualify for our $10,000 grant, as well as Film Florida? If you're, we have an emerging filmmakers fund with Film Florida. You can cobble some, things together, funds together by different grants. On our and I don't know if anybody else of my counterparts have a page, but we have a grants page on our website on filmlauderdale.org. And Miami-Dade used to have one when I was there. I don't know if it's still there on their website as well, and Film Miami. And everybody else has it on their website for sure. There's a couple of different organizations that have grants available. So you have to do some research, and go through those grants and see if you can and find some from there, Film Florida, emerging filmmakers, and the grants pages that we might have on our websites.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sandy.
And then and just kind of another thing, just like give all filmmakers this advice: whatever the subject matter of your production is, whether if there's a social issue involved, if there's something where you can tap into a brand or that might be interested in product placement, or if you are looking, again, if it's a social issue and there are a lot of companies out there that actually support certain social issues, you can go to their corporate responsibility departments, and sometimes they will help fund.
Thank you very much, Sandy. Tyler, question for you from the chat box indirectly talks about a land remembered. Do you know anything about crew hiring? We saw a couple of posts and articles about casting. Anything on the crew side?
Sure. They are not hiring crew yet. They're looking to open up their production. Well, their production offices are open up right now. But as far as crew hiring goes, they're looking to start that sometime in February. Right now, they're focusing on casting. As you mentioned, John, if you have a young child who might be a perfect fit for the young version of the lead, they're actually having it coming up, I believe, next week up in Brooksville area, where they actually want people to come out, put their kid up on a horse, make sure that they're not terrified of a horse. It can actually look good on camera from the behind a saddle. But they're starting with casting first, and then in February they will start crewing up.
Excellent, excellent. Let's see. Looking for anything else. Nikki, thank you for posting again the sales tax exemption program. And again, everybody, regardless of any type of size project or anything like that, even if it's not film and television, if it's just general production, please check out the Entertainment Industry Sales Tax Exemption Program run by the Department of Commerce up in Tallahassee. That program still is in effect and still very helpful, especially on the smaller budget projects, because every penny counts. So that is going to wrap it up for another edition of Film Florida Friday. Thanks to Tyler and Sandy, Todd, Quinn, Michelle, and special appearance by Brooke for being with us. Thanks for everybody joining us today. Thanks to Katie Collins, who helps me wrangle everything each month for Film Florida Friday. We are going to be back Friday, December 5th with a discussion about stunt work in production. Be on the lookout for that information in email blasts and on our social media pages. Again, that is Friday, December 5th. Thanks to all of our Film Florida members for their continued support. Reminder, if you're not a member of Film Florida, we're a 501c3 nonprofit, so we hope you'll consider joining the organization at filmflorida.org. Keep up with everything that we are doing on our social media pages. Make sure you check out the Film Florida podcast, which is available on all major podcast outlets. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. Thanks for being here, everybody. Be kind to each other and stay safe.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a great weekend.
Everyone. Bye.